My tea people, what is happening? I have the spring 2025 Lao Man E. This is from Farmer Leaf. I did taste the 2023, I believe, or 2022. It's been a while. And I did like that one. And so I figured I'd try it again, especially because I think this one is comparable to the Jingman Gulan, which is one of my favorites. The smell on the dry leaf is really really sweet, sort of a grape soda flavor. Got the cold brew here. Really pretty green color. Definitely spring. Lots of big leaves in there. Really curious to see what this year's spring Shings is gonna be. I did not enjoy the 2023 to 2024. So curious to see what's gonna happen this year. Definitely a young Shane for sure. I would say medium bitterness on the cold brew, but it's nice. It's not bad, and the bitterness is sort of middle of my tongue. Getting close to the tip, but not quite. I must say though that I have the feeling that if I were to bring this out with me on a hot day, I think it's gonna end up like brewing way too strong. Moderately thirst quenching. It's a little drying, but not like overly dry. And it has a decent sweetness. It's hard to really pinpoint the sweetness because the bitterness does sort of take over. But it is sort of sweet in that young Shane kind of way. Gonna warm the glass, and I forgot my receptacle. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. That works. So this is the leaf. Really pretty bouquet. Very green. Very new. No question about it. I'm gonna put a nice chunk in there. Nothing too crazy. Yeah, very fruit forward as far as the aroma. Very much purple grape aroma. I'm really curious to see what happens if aging this. I don't think Farmer Leaf has any aged teas on the site. I think I remember one time there was something aged, but I don't believe it was anything aged by him. I think it was something that was procured from somewhere else. But I'll be curious to see what age does this thing, because it is young. It has decent power on it, but it does have some really nice fruit notes in there. So the wet leaf, very green, again, what's to be expected. But I still do get some, it's like a sugar, almost fruit sweetness, closer to sugar, honestly. And I think that's the reason why I keep saying like purple grape soda, because it's not necessarily the fruit, but it's more of the sugary purple drink that I'm getting on the dry leaf as well as the wet leaf. So I'm definitely going to play around with temperature on this one, because this first infusion, we're going to hit it pretty hard. Going to go 30 seconds and see how strong it gets in 30 seconds. 15 is probably best. Matter of fact, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do 15 instead of 30. So I don't want to overbrew it right away. I have plenty of opportunity to do that. Because this thing can definitely get really strong. And there's that sort of green vegetal note right off, and then as the temperature cools, you get more of a purple grape sugary sort of aroma off of it. Yeah, it's the third time that's happened. I pulled the strainer completely off this time. There we go. And let's get rid of this one just to be safe. Yeah, that sort of purple drink, purple grape soda aroma is starting to subside just a little bit. Quite a bit of material in the first infusion. Yeah, I think 15 seconds was good, because the bitterness is very slight, almost none actually. Still has that young green shane flavor, vegetal, but definitely has a deep kind of fruit forward sweetness on the back end. I think 30 seconds will dial up the bitterness, but it may hide a little bit of that fruit. For this second infusion, I'm going to go a little bit longer just to see what happens. I have a feeling that it's going to be really strong, but I'm really curious to see what happens. And then I'll bring the temperature down for the third infusion. And that'll also give me a really good idea of how many infusions I think this thing can go. Because if cooler temps still yields a strong brew after the third infusion, then I know that this thing has some real longevity. And I'm gonna put this on a timer. And see what we get after 30 seconds. But it's really, I mean, this bouquet is really, really pretty. Seeing these really sort of red and auburn colors in the brew like this. Anytime I'm drinking such a green tea such as this, it gives me the feeling that I'm getting not a decent serving, but I'll say a small serving of vegetables in my diet, which I feel good about. I mean, look at those green leaves. That is definitely veggies for sure, no question about it. It would take me at least 3 or 4 forkfuls to gobble that down. And so while I won't get all of the benefits of the leaf, I'm definitely getting some for sure. Really pretty colors. There are some small broken leaves in there as well. It's always hard to say if that's from the pressing or if it's the material itself. But I did see at least one, 2 full leaves in here, but a lot of broken leaves too. All right, so this one was 30 seconds. You can see the color on that one, still pretty green. Really sort of I'm not gonna say a muddy infusion, but quite a bit of material though, and pretty dark. Okay, so 30 seconds did dial up the bitterness just a notch, but not too much. Still not overpowering at all. And the bitterness is dialed up, but in a good way. It's hard to describe, but it's the bitterness that you want with a young puer. Again, very vegetal, and the bitterness is, like I say, middle of my tongue. It's kind of touching the very back, which is interesting. Really kind of playing around, like right there, sort of towards the tip. Interesting. But the fruit forwardness is pretty much gone. So that tells me that if I play around with the temperature, which is what I'm going to do, we will probably get some interesting results. So I'm going to get the temp to 50 Celsius, which is half of boiling. All right, 55. All right, 55 is decent. I will say this though, the problem with Celsius is that, like, the difference between 95 and 100 Fahrenheit it's small. There's a difference, but it's a small difference. My concern is the difference between 50 Celsius and 55 Celsius is a huge difference. So I have to always be careful about that. But I do think that Celsius is a better measure of water temperature though. It just makes more sense in my brain. 100 is boiling, and so you can really just measure everything relative to a boiling point, you know. And it looks like I didn't quite get enough water. And I'm actually going to let this one steep as long as my patience will allow, because 30 seconds wasn't like super duper strong. So I imagine even a minute plus at 50C will be just fine, if not preferable. I am a little worried that I'm going to steep it past the point of realizing any sort of fruit flavors, but we'll see. But yeah, so far I like it. I've only had 2 infusions and can't say if I feel anything, but I think I am feeling something. It's a bit of a caffeine kick, a little energy, and I don't know if it's been a full minute yet, but just as long as I can stand it currently. So the sweetness is still sort of there. It's very subdued. Again, 3rd infusion, still quite a bit of material in the glass. Color is still just as dark. Wow. So the bitterness is much higher. And yeah, and I've lost any sort of fruit or sweetness at all, and the bitterness is really dialed up. So what that tells me is that this thing is strong. It can go at least 6 or 7 infusions, if not more. This infusion is almost undrinkable. I mean, yeah, no, I'm gonna say it's almost undrinkable. Almost undrinkable. It's not bad, but man, compared to the first 2, I'm not gonna finish that one. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is gonna do 50C. This time I'm gonna time it, and if that one was a minute, I mean, maybe I only do this thing for 30 seconds. All right, let's get it to 50C. 45, 47, 48. It's perfect, 48. All right, and I'm gonna time it. And we're not gonna let it go for a full minute. We're gonna stop this thing right at 30 seconds. And I am agitating the water, and so it may have something to do with the material in the glass. But honestly, still quite a bit of material. And I did see some broken leaves, so I think that does say something about the quality of the leaf, and just the care and processing from picking to cooking to pressing. You know, when I see a tea and you have just all these beautiful whole full leaves, it is really nice, you know. And this one you can see it's a broken leaf. It's mostly intact, and you know that happens because this is a sample. It's not a full cake, so it was broken apart to be bagged as a sample, and then broken again by myself. So something to be said for that as well. It's a nice looking leaf. I've seen more than a few of those. Um, what I think is interesting is that I don't see any leaf pairings, where usually you'll see like a bud, like a little small rolled leaf, and then maybe one or two big leaves attached to the same stem. Um, in this case, what I'm seeing are just single big leaves. Um, and I think that is the purpose of this particular picking. Is this half a leaf? No, it's got to be a whole leaf, right? Just trying to pull it apart. There we go. Yeah, now this one is a whole leaf. There we go. It's a whole leaf, and it looks like now it's just a twig, but yeah. So it's a whole leaf there. And so I think that has something to do with the tea as well. So typically what happens is when you have just those big leaves, it gives more complexity to the tea, because those leaves have had time to create different flavor profiles and stuff like that, just based on the chemical processes within the tree at the time of picking. And then usually the newer leaves, the baby leaves, have more of the chemicals, more of the polyphenols and stuff like that, but have a milder taste. And so that's why this one I think is so kind of, I'm gonna say powerful. The other word I like to use is like punchy, but it's not a tea that like punches you in the face. It's not that crazy, but it's pretty powerful. And it has everything to do with the big leaves for sure. In the absence of the small leaves. Okay, so lower temps. Much lighter brew. Sort of the sweet notes are there. That Yangqing bitterness, or I should just say flavor profile, is still there. If there is any bitterness, it's mild. But I have to say it's fairly watery. So my thinking on this one is that it is a decent sheen, but nothing special. Nothing special. And that is hard to say at the price point of this particular cake. I think this one is one of the most expensive. I think it's like $400 for a 350 gram cake, which is quite a bit. Which I think this year is actually pricier than the Gulan, which is supposedly like the flagship, best quality cake. Now, I still don't quite know the way he goes about doing the Gulan. I know that it's a blend, and supposedly it's supposed to be the best of the best to create some interpretation of the flavor of the overall area, the Chiang Mai mountain. I think is the way it was explained. Everything else are specific gardens within the Chiang Mai mountain range. And I get it. Lao Man E is what it is. These are big leaves, and so they're meant to be sort of punchy. But I do think it does have some aging material. I just don't have enough experience in aging to even try and figure out how that works. But I definitely think it has some aging material. The oxidation and the aging of the leaves, I think, will bring about more of that fruit undertone that's definitely there. And some of that punchiness will kind of go away with age. but it's still powerful enough that it won't completely lose everything with age. Because even 50C water for 30 seconds is still yielding a bit of strength. So, and we're talking about the fourth infusion. So again, I think it's a decent young Shane. I don't know what this says about the rest of the 2025 pickings, but yeah, decent, not special, definitely not worth the price point. I think I will probably, let's see. Yeah, the cold brew is pretty good, it's strong, but I'm not going to be taking this outside with me because I'm worried that the heat is going to just go and blow the bitterness just way out of proportion. The hot brew, I've already drank it through 4 infusions. I may go through a few more, but I'm probably going to continue to, I don't know. I'll finish the rest of the sample, but I'm not necessarily looking forward to it. If I happen to be in a mood for a young Sheen, I'll pick this up. You know what I'm saying? I'll pick it up and I'll drink through it, but I'm not going to wake up tomorrow saying, man, I can't wait to, have some more of that Lao Man E, right? So anyway, that's it. From me to you, I holla.